Again, at Journey's End, our whole approach to winemaking is a sort of minimal intervention approach. And I know that's a little bit of a cliche, but we try to let our sort of vineyards tell the story of Journey's End wines rather than any winemaking manipulation or special technique that we're using, although we do try a few interesting things on different cultivars. In terms of our winemaking, and I must also mention before this that I'm very lucky to have inherited a cellar which was constructed in 2010, so relatively recently. So we really have state-of-the-art equipment. There's no sort of holds barred in terms of the equipment that we have at Journey's End, which I'm really lucky to be working with. But all of our white wines are pressed off the skins prior to fermentation. So we'll do a combination of whole bunch pressing, which is when the bunches, well, the berries are still attached onto the bunch when we separate it from the skins from the juice, as well as destemmed pressing as well. So sometimes we'll take the berries off the stem, and that's just dictated by the different cultivars that we basically work with. Our speciality at Journey's End is Chardonnay. So this big wall of barrels behind me that you can see is all full of Chardonnay. I'd say about 80% of our Chardonnay is barrel fermented. So we really sort of have a very big focus on barrel fermented Chardonnay. A lot of them are done completely naturally using indigenous yeast strains, which we get off the vineyard blocks itself. And again, it's just a way of making our wines with as lower sort of manipulation in the cellar as humanly possible, while still keeping them nice and clean and healthy. We're very lucky in that we harvest grapes at very high acidities because of our area, giving us very low pHs, which is great in terms of the sort of maturation of the wine and its health post-fermentation. We also use a few, what I like to call alternative vessels on our Chardonnay. So we're using terracotta clay pots, which we get from Italy. They have a nice sort of natural antioxidant effect on the wine. So that means that I don't have to add as much preservative sulfur dioxide to the wine. We also use concrete eggs, and different types of sort of larger format food trays, big oak barrels. And the reason we also use these vessels is because the floor of the vessel is in a concave shape. And there's an effect called the Brownian effect, which is a natural sort of circulation of your sediment after fermentation through the vessel, which is, again, great in terms of preserving your wine. Again, it acts antioxidatively, so we don't have to add as much sulfur to the wine. So again, just trying to make the wines as naturally as possible. I sort of see myself more as a wine caretaker rather than a wine maker, if that makes any sense. Yeah, so the structure behind me is called an oxo-line barrel stacking system. Historically, we were always stacking our barrels on these galvanized steel racks, which is great, but if you are stacking them one on top of each other, it makes it very difficult for us to spin the barrels and batonnage them, which is quite a sort of religious process that we do, especially in our Chardonnays at Journey's End. So the barrel stacking system, every single barrel is obviously on wheels. So we'll lock the barrels and we have really airtight bungs on the top of the barrels. And with each of these individual barrels, we can actually spin them, completely around. And that basically incorporates all of the lees and sediment back into the vessel without us having to open up every single vessel and manually stir it, which obviously exposes it to a bit of oxygen. So another way we're trying to make our wine in a slightly more reductive way in terms of its maturation. So the wines I have found tend to take a little bit longer in barrel to mature till we're ready to sort of bottle them. But they stay really nice and healthy and clean the entire time. And we're not subjecting it to as much oxygen. The oxygen obviously does come in microdoses through the barrel pores itself. But we're not exposing it to oxygen every time we open the vessel. So it's also been great in terms of us saving a lot of space vertically in the cellar, where I would tend to keep all of the barrels on galvanized steel at eye level, just so they're easier to access, where this saves us a hell of a lot of space in the cellar vertically rather than them all being horizontally in rows.